actually like mind-boggling to me because I feel like you're one of like the only, I won't say the only creative, but like you're somebody that's like really inspired me, and like I really feel like it's helped mold me as a creative. So like to actually sit in front of you right now and like interview you and like give you flowers is actually kind of crazy.
Well, I appreciate it, bro. You know, I ain't thinking too much, but I just love being your friend.
Oh,
I'm glad you find me inspiring. You inspire me.
what inspires you the most?
Oh man, it's people. I realize that it's crazy and odd as different as we are, is being able to see the limits and the things we're capable of doing. Um, you and then it's crazy how you can like channel different, I don't know, like motivations and inspiration from other folks who just doing something and just finding a way to connect and then seeing different perspectives of the world through them. That is really cool.
Yeah. So what do you think has like helped mold you with that mindset? Like, and like, was it starting photography? Was it the journey of it? Like, is it where you are now? The life lessons, like everything that you learned with that?
Oddly, I come from a really small town, and I always dealt with this. I don't know if it's called anything. I'm not sure what it is, but I have a fear or phobia of like people who only stay in one little area, and I feel like you limit yourself to the growth of the person that you can actually be by staying in one spot all your life and missing out on what the world actually has to offer, and becoming curious to see what's outside the area that I was in, and that just grew like massively.
Were you ever scared when you wanted to start pushing that envelope for what you were seeing, that like, of like how you're going to be perceived or like people believing in you? Like, how was that?
I knew deep down, even as a child, when I was young enough to remember when I first seen photography, I always thought it was cool. I just didn't know how to make it cool, and I was always considered the perception of others of myself. And you realize just how young you are at the time, and thinking about like how much you care about what other people actually think about you. And real life just putting that off so long until I had enough time to just really just sit with myself to think and ask the questions, can I do it on my own? And really just like when I got away from that, that's how I haven't really.
Do you think that doing it on your own was like kind of scary?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a new thing that I didn't even know what was up next to do. So it's like you taking these risks, and I'm not sure what's behind that door, but I'm willing to take that chance. And whenever you make that decision, just commit to it.
Like, do you think that if you're like fearful in the current season that you're in, like you're gonna have that creative resistance because like you're creating whatever is like in your head mentally, like onto like your art in a way? Does that make sense?
Yes, I do agree. Like, I think anytime fear is involved, it's like it's some type of blockage that's holding you back from the actual change that you need to commit to yourself. And we go through constant change, whether we know it or not. And I don't know, I think when you dive into a craft, really and truly, you learn more about yourself more than the craft. Because you're gonna find out more about you, and if you are willing to commit and stay disciplined enough to like do certain things and willing to learn something that you don't know. And I think we got to a place where we made learning hard.
Mm, I think we did make learning hard. So like you went to college, like you went to Mississippi State. So having to like just do stuff to pass classes, like to not step on professors' toes, like do you think that kind of made learning hard though when you think about it? Do you think like your path would have been different if you just would have jumped straight into photography and not had something like an institution try to mold? You get what I'm saying? How you should be learning.
And you know what's crazy that you bring this up? I had a lot of resistance in college, and now that I look at it, I wish I didn't. Only because I was too busy being concerned about the method I was learning instead of learning, and the method of how I was learning created some type of frustration, which made it a lot difficult for me to even go through in the first place. But some of the knowledge could have been easy to proceed better if I would have just been there trying to grow. And honestly, I didn't know at the time college for me was this um, fundamental entry to like art for real. Um, Going to college really helped me grow and see better as an artist, and I don't think I would have got that through my own because I was so busy trying to focus on this target that I was skipping steps. And college really broke every step down and made me crawl.
Damn. Do you think with the correlation of like feeling starting from the bottom in college and also being from Mississippi like help you be an even better creative?
Yes, absolutely. Um, one, like going to college, like I said, it breaks it down to the point where you gotta like know every little detail about the craft that you finna go into, and those fundamental elements that I got from that like help grow. But here we lack a lot of shit. It's all flatlands, it's all grass, it's all about the same shit. But if you can find a way to pick something small out of the shit that you see to make it be enhanced to fit a vision of yours, then I believe once we go to any other places outside of Mississippi, it's like walking on.
You can do anything. Yeah. 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 That's deep.
That's why, and honestly, I feel like the people who really grow here is at an advantage to other people who are in bigger cities because they take it for granted.
Looking back on your journey, what advice would you give to other creatives who may be struggling with fear, adversity, or complacency in their own work?
It's all in your head. You just gotta go out there, and you're only afraid because you don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Like the Tyler the Creator the video, she was like, "I'm scared," and he was like, "Of what?" And she was like,
I don't know. Like, yeah, you're just making stuff up. When you realize you're making those scenarios on like, really, what if it don't work? But if you change those thoughts to what if it do, you'll start faster.
but you know how we talk about all the time that sometimes it's really not a fear of failing, it's like the fear of success. Because I feel like you already know that you're gonna get that thing because it's so like heavily placed on your heart.
Yeah.
But it's like the responsibility that comes with it and to maintain it is like makes it very real. And I think that's like, ooh, I don't want to be like controversial, but I think it's like the difference. I can't put this in here, but I gotta get this out. It's the difference between people who are really walking the walk and just talking the talk for real. So we're still on the topic of fear in a sense. So one last question to close out fear before we move on to spirituality. So what are some common fears or insecurities that you've encountered throughout your creative journey that may have like reflected in your work or manifested themselves in your life in like any way?
Mm. Uh, I don't know. Recently, I had went through this phase where I was remembering things about my childhood, and I guess it was popping up in the people that I was photographing, and it was making me remember about certain things. And I think it was just something I was avoiding. And I see how approaching it through art has changed my mindset about the things I deal with. Uh, Not looking at it from a victim mentality changes a lot.
How have you seen your relationship with fear grow like over the course of the time, and do you think that also has like reflected into what you do?
I kind of almost embrace it now. Once I realized that the fear that I'm putting out there is mainly coming from something from within me, um, I try to get down to the bottom of it instead of like putting it off and taking too much time to analyze something that I might be making up. Uh, I think I work better by jumping into the water and learning how to swim instead of trying to think about each individual stroke.
That just seems like a testament of faith as well, like because you never know. And I think like obviously in a way the opposite of faith would be fear, because when you have fear you really like don't have faith at all, but you can still be scared going into something. And I think that's the difference. Like it's the fact that we're not, people are saying that you should not be scared, but it's like, because if you weren't scared you wouldn't care, you know what I mean, because you know there actually is a risk on the other side. So with that, going into the first set of spirituality questions, can you walk us through your creative process from ideation to execution? Like, how do you typically approach a new project or idea? Because I feel like you just said, like, you just kind of have to jump into it. And I think that's part of, like, starting the execution.
I don't know. I think once I get to a place where I'm curious about something, I go on a continuous search for it. See why I'm having these ideas, what I'm trying to create, and let me see here how I do this. Because my planning to execution process and stuff that I do is so, I don't know, it's random at times, and it can be different. And I'm saying that because I'm maybe taking different approaches to keep me excited and doing different things. I try to break routine as much as I can, especially in my creative process.
Why is that?
I don't want it to feel like a job.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, that was a big bomb. Dang.
Yeah, man.
So, like, with that, though, like, because we live in a time too where everybody's like kind of just telling you to monetize like your gifts and talents, like even if it is photography or if it's like pottery or something, like you have a gift that you're really good at, but it's like you just said, like the idea as a creative for most creatives these days is to like be their own boss. But it's like the reality of actually being your boss can like make it feel like it's an actual 9 to 5 that you left initially. So like what are some tips besides like, you know, spicing things up that allow people to like not feel like their craft is a 9 to 5? I never thought of it like that, by the way.
I don't know. I think you gotta find a way to make the task you don't like doing exciting for you. I realize when as much as I don't really enjoy marketing or communicating with people, I have to do it, and realizing I can't get around that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hmm. So I guess like with that though, how do you stay motivated? Because like you just said, like sometimes you don't really like always want to do that thing.
I'm extremely competitive and extremely competitive, and I told myself once I start this, I'm going to strive to be and do my absolute best. I see how at one point I was settling and I wasn't growing, and the things that I was striving for and what I was settling for was like a complete night and day difference. And having my own competitive edge, I'm looking at people who is in a position of what I'm doing, and every time I do something for myself, I compare it to what they're doing to make sure I'm on the right track.
Do you feel like that's like um I don't know the word to call it, but like it is competition. Do you think it's like comparison in a way though? Do you think people could get that mixed up?
Yeah. But we all secretly compare, but we need to learn to compare in a good way that benefits us instead of makes us look bad. Um, we can get too busy caught up in comparing and then nitpicking our stuff apart instead of comparing to, oh, maybe I need to do this differently to improve.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Okay. So with that, how do you cultivate a sense of like authenticity and like vulnerability in creative expression?
Be yourself, like 100% be yourself. You will find you navigate with people that you meet easier. You your workflow is a lot smoother. Um, your internal gut wants you to do a certain thing, and why you're trying to not do it because you're looking at someone else do something else, and follow your gut feeling.
How do you develop that discipline too? With like you also said that you kind of like do things differently every now and again. So how do you keep discipline but you're still doing something different?
Keeping my goal in mind, on my reasons, my why. Like that stuff outweighs the torture that I have to endure short term right now. Man, I got a bigger purpose that I'm trying to do and like strive for than most people. And when you realize that you got something to aim for or someone, you that's why when it comes down to hard work, this is why I'm sorry I kind of went on a little tangent, but I feel like I want to say this. When it comes down to hard work, I don't really think people really know how hard they can work. We make too many excuses on what we actually can do, and I've seen people who work hard and how fast they got to where they was going.
Can you share a project or piece of work that you're very, very proud of? And what was the inspiration behind it? And how did you bring it to life? With the sense of spirituality, do you think that had any play with that? Like your most favorite piece, you think you like it was a reflection of like where you were spiritually, or like did you feel spiritually guided to do it?
Yeah, I photographed my grandmother. I realized that I haven't really been connecting with my family the way I should have, and I keep taking time for granted.
You know what? I feel that. Like there'll be times where like I'll go to my mama's house, like I have my computer and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm finna work, I'm finna work, and then like my cousin comes over who I haven't seen like in a few days, like sometimes months. You know what I mean? So, but then after I leave those moments where I took the time to not like make creativity my life in a sense, I like left from hanging out with them. I felt so inspired that I feel like I could put more back into my work. You know what I mean? Versus just being like, I gotta create all the time. I need inspiration. But inspiration, I really feel like just comes from being in the present moment and like really taking it, taking it all in. I just knocked the fuck out
It does. I think that's another reason we experience creative block. We spend so much time trying to force stuff, and like I see why Kendrick and some of these artists take time to actually live, so they can have something to talk about.
Oh my God. Let's talk about that. He spent a very long time away. Do you like Frank Ocean?
Yeah.
It's one of the best. Sorry, that was random. We've worked together. I just want to really ask this question. Okay, so we've worked together on a few projects. Which one do you think? Ooh, is growth on here? Ooh, it's like the perfect segue. You said that word earlier. Okay. So before we get into like growth, what has been like your favorite project that me and you have done that you think has reflected like my growth and your growth, like as a team working together?
I think it was your birthday shoot.
Which one? The red one?
The red, yeah.
Yeah.
It let me know. I seen the idea, and I started creating barriers on what I wanted to create. And those images came out like perfect.
Like, it's so funny because like
I can even use your runway stuff too.
The runway stuff?
Yeah.
Which, the one that we did here? Or
Refuge?
Yes. Yeah, honestly, I think that's crazy. You had said something. Bro, okay, so like I think at that time, with the red, if I can remember, like I knew, but I didn't know. And like to me, those were like very growing up pictures. And like even the idea of like, I was like, bro, like how are we gonna get like the water to look like that? And like just searching there, like the plexiglass and stuff. And then we got there, we had no idea how we wanted to spray it. But I remember how like came across that one time, and you was like, stay right there, because like it was like the one had like the one eye on it. And it's like we showed up there. I think that also was the start of like not like putting so much pressure on things and just showing up and just trying to execute what you have with being in the moment. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, a lot of times when you think about on set with people, that's why a lot of people bump heads. A lot of people are not willing to experiment, try ideas, or let everyone have some type of say so in an idea. You'll find people overstepping the thing they supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird for a stylist to tell you how to take your pictures. Or a photographer to come tell the makeup artist to do a certain thing. I work better by letting the makeup artist just do their thing and work out what they do instead of me trying to guide them to do a certain thing.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
It feels like everyone is included that way.
Yeah, because I feel like, because you know, if y'all don't know, community is a real big thing here at Friends Imagination. So it's like, I think that keeps like community and art together though. Because like also you have to be very careful of like having people who are just criticizing or giving constructive criticism. That's a thing. But also being able to take feedback and not get offended when somebody's actually looking out for you. Like it's kind of a weird thing, but sometimes I think that's where trust is kind of lacking in the creative community, because it's more of a concern about somebody trying to humble you and trying to guide you. Now sometimes people do be trying to humble you, but for the most part, like I feel like sometimes if you find your people, and it's not everybody, but you have to find your people in the creative world, because they're going to be like for you. They're not going to make you feel rejected or anything. Yeah. Ooh.
It kind of makes you realize as well that like having your individual people that you go with and you hold on to makes it easier to run instead of trying to drag people along that's not ready.
Yeah. The book that you have on the table and why you picked it.
I have Rick Rubin's book. Hold on. The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It's one of my favorite books. It has it breaks down a different way of thinking and how to approach it. Changed my world.
So like, what do you look for when you're choosing a good book? Because I know you read books about like creativity and like growth and everything, but when it comes down to just like whatever topic you have, whether it's like a book for creativity or a book of growth, like what do you look for when you're looking for a book to read to help you keep like be inspired?
I truly believe, and it's gonna sound crazy to say on like recorded, I genuinely believe every book chooses you.
That's why you think it's like a spiritual thing in a sense?
Almost, yes. Because when you start really reading and diving into books, you'll find yourself going on a search for good books. Certain things will catch your attention. You can experiment reading with different books, and you probably won't like it right now. It's probably not meant for you to read. And doing something else, listening to someone talking, they'll recommend a book. They just pop up.
A book is like somebody's mind on paper. And I feel like it is like wisdom put in a thing. And you know what's so crazy? I'm just getting all spiritual. I gotta get it out. So, um, dang, I was gonna say something. I don't think the enemy wanted me to say it because it was really good. I forgot. Dang. Oh, okay. How people will ask for like riches, they'll ask for like all these things, but the thing that like matters the most is wisdom. And it's like that's what I feel like books are. Like they're literally like just sets of wisdom people have knocked out of their brain. And like so when you say they choose you, I feel like it does. Like it has an energy on it. Like and you're drawn to things that are like in the same frequency you are in life. That sounds so woo. But that just got me thinking about reading. Dang.
Bro, it's another way to step into another world in detail. You want to know someone, if someone has written about something, go find out about them. And it's so detailed. Um, Ollie, and then it helps with like imagination.
It does.
You you go along this journey of this complete stranger and learn them, stranger and just learn them. And man, it'd be crazy. The things you can learn and pick up and the principles and points they leave behind.
I think that's crazy. Did you read a lot when you were a kid?
I did not. I was not a reader. I fit into a narrative that I knew I didn't even need to be in. I chose to be dumb.
Dang, I think that's crazy. Because I feel like for me as a kid, reading is like what got me to start having creativity. Because I was reading like so many things about mythology and shit like that that like I had to um think and visualize of what the book was actually like talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it made me like research and go see what the characters look like. Did they compare to what I've imagined them in my head? Like, because sometimes in the books like they would draw what the characters like looked like to give kids a reference, and I would always see like if it aligned with what I actually had in my head.
This is so unique to hear from a perspective of someone who was reading at a time I wasn't, because I was drawing all of my inspiration from like cartoons.
Mm. That's actually kind of crazy.
And like outside of playing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that not even just trying to get all woo because I'm getting off topic now with the questions. But I guess it is part of growth because like in order to grow, like you have to start from somewhere, aka like being a kid. I don't know. I think that when you're a kid, that's when people should allow you to experience the most creativity. Like, you know, that's when you're most influential, but also like that's when you find stuff that you know you really, really love to do.
Man, that I don't know. It's like since you were you a kid that went outside a lot and played?
I did when I was in the country, yeah. Yeah. But once I started getting leapfrog and shit, it was over with.
It's like I'm thinking just from my household, like it just wasn't a thing that was put in front of me. My family was just nah, bro. Like they was too busy, either chilling or trying to survive at the time, and they weren't readers, so it's cool. I mean, it'd be mind blowing to see how no matter what background you come from, you're gonna always find a way.
Who asked this one? Okay, because you're so busy and like you travel a lot too, and you don't really, I don't want to say have a set schedule, but like if you get called to go somewhere, like you're going. Like I be asking you all the time, like what's your schedule like? And you like, I'm gonna get back with you. You know what I mean? So like being so busy with people who have the excuse of like they don't have time to read. How do you still find time to read? Because I really be trying to find time, but you always be finding time to read.
If I spend, if I can spend more time on my phone and can't devote at least 15 minutes to read a book,
Dang. Ooh.
and you gotta think how some people can't even, it's automatic, like a strict habit to do things with their phone. And if I can feel like whatever's got my attention, I can't go without for that long, then something is wrong with me. And I don't want to feel like this thing has a control over me. And I work really hard to, when I want to focus on something, to put it away. Whatever it is I feel like I'm looking for, watching, or text, whatever, it can wait.
Dang. Okay, I think that's actually kind of crazy because like I feel like sometimes I fall victim to that, but like I will also like just limit my Instagram time, like limit my TikTok time, because I feel like if you don't, like you will really be spending like so much time on like what's wrong with me, but like it be like you didn't consume so much like information and feelings in one day.
Getting it so fast.
Yes, so fast. So like, how do you find like the time? Well, not the time, but like the wheel, because like everybody keeps talking about how we have like very small attention spans now, but I feel like sometimes it takes such a wheel to actually sit down and read, because you do have to focus like on one thing, and not only focus on it but like understand the information that it's trying to tell you. Like how do you like, I don't know, like decompress with a book actually.
I don't know. I think I pick up my books every time I become curious. Um, reading it, I'm reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People right now, and the book has so much information to the point where I might take my time to just make sure I'm processing what I'm reading instead of trying to feel like I want to complete the book just to say I finished it.
Do you engage in any practices such as note taking, journaling, or discussing books with like others to help deepen your understanding? Because you say like it helps you basically marinate with the book. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do you have anything like that? Highlighting, note taking.
I typically really write in my books. Um, I highlight it, underline it. That's how I pretty much like store what I'm receiving. I do journal on the side. It's mostly about life stuff, not necessarily what I read. And but sometimes that stuff make it in there. And journaling can be a hard thing for people. Making the time to do it forcefully.
I feel like that. I feel like there's been times where I was really, really, really good. I ain't gonna lie. This is gonna sound crazy to say, and I'm trying to get myself back to that space. But honestly, journaling, like when I was journaling, that was like the most focused in my life I was ever been. Like I could just write something down, like, and get it out of my system and get it out on paper and release from it, or just write a goal or something, and it would happen like extremely quickly and well.
I don't know what it is about writing like your thing that you want to do down. Like New Year's Day, like I cried so hard. It was like last year. It felt like I put so much effort into this one thing that I wanted, and it felt like I didn't make it. And at the end of the year, it's like everything in me was like I had just let it out. And I woke up the next day and like really planned out my year, things I want to accomplish, how many things I want. I wrote exact numbers down. And do you know it's crazy? I said I want to shoot like between 15 and 20 weddings this year. Bro, I got like so many books. And it's like I ain't really, I only posted like a few times about a few wedding stuff, but like it's mind blowing. That seed I sowed from doing the free weddings, I threw that out there some time ago, and I'm still getting hit up random from that. And even if they don't feel like they want to win, they want to book with me.
That's awesome. And you were so, I won't say you were scared at all, but I feel like that was one thing that you were like kind of hesitant to push. And like to see you do that, and like the day you did it, like you called me and were like, whoa, like I got it all together, like it's happening. Like those are the things that I really feel like we just completely left the topic of reading, which is fine. But it's like, no, it's fine. But it's like, it really is like a spiritual thing, and you get to look back, and it's like you look back at what you were so not desperate for but just longing for, and feel like you were never ever gonna get it, and you read back those thoughts, like you look at it and you get to the point where you did it, and it's just like, thank God. Like that's such like a big testament of faith to me, because it's like none of this is promised. And I feel like as a creative, like it's the most non-promised thing. I literally told somebody today, this is crazy. I was talking to one of my friends, and they were just like, I kind of want to like give up like on my goal right now, bro, sometimes, like, because it's so hard. Like, and I'm like, think about it. For me, for example, I'm 25 years old. Hopefully, I have like twice as much time left on this earth or more. So if I give up today, I have to live with 3 times of regret as just compared to my 2 times of trying in a way, or 1/3 of it, I guess, in a way. And that's so crazy. I can't do math for real, sorry. But like that's so crazy to me. Like if I give up now, I'll regret more of my life than I have lived it, and that's not enough. That's like crazy, right? I don't know, like, and that just makes you want to keep going, and like even when you feel like you can't do it anymore, like you want to give up. Bro, I met you, and I was like, when I met Chauncey, I was literally a mess. Like I was just like always crying, and I don't know. That's like what was like going. Actually, like this is actually a vulnerable moment. My life sucked at one point in time, but I think that's just because like I wasn't letting it out, bro. And, like you had wrote in my journal, and then ever since then I just really was journaling, and I think that's like one of the things I definitely did pick up from you. Anyway, Yeah, like sometimes I feel like we take Earth so for granted that like, oh, like it's just a tree or it's just grass or it's just a sunset, but like it's so beautiful. Like
God put all this stuff out here for us to look at.
I
And
know.
then what's also crazy that man created a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like
Working together.
if you're not that if that's not inspired enough to realize that you can do almost anything, everything was made by somebody else.
Okay. And I think that's what's so crazy. Like I don't know. I feel like just in general of like having a creative process, that's like why I love alchemy so much. You know what I mean? Like there's been times where like I've created like projects and stuff because like I felt some type of way inside and like I needed to put that energy somewhere else that was productive. And it's like the fact that so many people do that, and I just think it's like a spiritual like sense and everything. Like even God, like I was just reading like the first book in the Bible and like how things were created, and it just was like so effortlessly put together. And it's like all of thought. And even to think about how the Bible, we're talking about like journaling and reading in general, but like that's like writing, like that's like God's thoughts that created something. It started out as words, and like it just manifested itself into something like, oh, I just saw two cardinals, and that just made me so happy. um, but yeah, I don't even like birds for real, so that was like, oh,
Speaking of work, you know one of the craziest things that was brought to my attention. See, one thing I love about the Bible is that like so many people can like take look at different things. When God put Adam on earth, the first thing he told him to do was work. And it was like he told the very first man to go out here and get to it. So watch over the garden.
dang, ah,
We're not meant to be out here chilling like that for real. Like we are designed to like work towards some type of goal.
work towards something. And I keep saying this, but like death has like just been one of those things where I told you for the longest, I just can't. It crosses my mind, and like
Once you know,
yeah,
it never goes away.
it never goes away, and it's been so, and it's like it happened to me as soon as like I left college. Like I was so busy going to class, going to parties, going to do this, going to do that, that death never had the time to sit on my mind. And it's like knowing that like hopefully I don't, but I could leave at any time. And it's like oftentimes I think it was never the thing that I thought too much of what people thought about me, but I was just hoping that even if they did have an interaction with me, that like it helped them with something. I don't ever just want to leave, I feel like, and not leave anybody with anything. And so sometimes I try so hard to figure out like what does a person need in their life that I can be, that is like,
To even like I guess make that a lot easier for you to get to for you to be the best version for yourself and to be remembered by anyone as you do the things you need to do for yourself. Once you delay who you need to be, you're not gonna help the people that you want to help.
dang, that's crazy. But you're right, the whole thing with working, like we're all working towards something. And like you said, like once you and God figure out, or just on the journey of figuring out why you're doing what you're doing, that's literally all that matters. Like everybody else doesn't. Not even with Tyler the Creator, he was like, what if you put something out and you the most happens that people don't like it? Okay, those people aren't for you. And like that's like a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but it is what it is. Like you want nothing less of like what's supposed to be for you. So, I don't know.
It's proven that like once you stop striving for something, it makes you think about like personal will, desire, ambition for something, like to accomplish something. When people retire mostly from a job, it'd be crazy how quick they die.
Oh Lord. I think
You don't know what to do, and we're not meant to just sit down.
no. When I tell you, I keep talking about my grandparents, but they're absolutely amazing. My grandpa is like, I think either pushing 70 or over 70, and he still be like, weed. He'll drive from like Byhalia to South Haven, like just to like weed the lawn or like bring some wood or like go pick up like plant. Like he be on it, and he has been on it. Like he's a very hardworking man. Like even my grandma, she still be going to work. She have a little off time, and like this is the point where they can retire. They're just literally choosing not to.
Bruh, man, we're not meant to sit still. I'm so serious. We're not.
Because when you sit still, you also start thinking too. If you really ain't got nothing to do, and them thoughts will mess you up too.
Bruh,
Mm, dang.